Welcome to Ready at Home Parent Summer Institute. Tonight's featured speaker is Sister Lawan Dates with Navigating High School Readiness.
Hello, and welcome to the second installment of the Ready at Home Parent Summer Institute. At Living Faith Ministries, we believe that parents are a child's first and most influential teachers. The Ready at Home Parent Summer Institute is designed to equip, encourage, and empower you with practical strategies, value resources, and meaningful connections that will help your family thrive throughout the school year. So, thank you for investing in your child's parenting with community and joining us as we work together to build stronger families and brighter futures. Again, welcome, and we pray that today is informative, encouraging, and blessing to you and your family. So let's keep in mind the information presented during the Ready at Home Parent Institute is intended for general educational and informational purposes only. While every effort has been made to provide accurate and current information, graduation requirements and academic policies, course offerings, and district procedures may vary by school and subjects to change. This presentation should not be considered an official guide or substitute for information provided by your child's school or school district. Parents and guardians are encouraged to connect with their child's school and or counselor, administration, or local school district with questions regarding graduation requirements, academic planning, scheduling, or student services. Living Faith Ministry assumes no responsibility or liability for decisions made based solely on information shared during this presentation. Families should rely on official school and district communication when making educational decisions for their student. All right, so let's get started. Who am I? I am a professional. My name is Tamiko Dates, and I work for Prince George's County Public Schools. I've been a professional school counselor for 4 years. Prior to that, I worked with teen parents and in special education. My background as a school counselor is to work with students on their social emotional development, their academic development, and college and career readiness. This year, I was blessed to work with the cohort of 2026, and I was able to do 92% graduation rate. All right, so let's get started. Transitioning to ninth grade. Okay, so transitioning to ninth grade is an important step. Okay, it really does help your student get ready for high school. It is a foundation for high school success. First year that the students will be able to get credits that count towards their graduation. Strong habits now prevent future gaps, okay? Early engagement increases graduation and college readiness. I want to go back one, I want to go forward. So this is what you should be familiar with first and foremost. You should get familiar with the Maryland school report card. If you are in Prince George's County or in the state of Maryland, you should familiarize yourself with the report card. Now, what does the report card tell you? Okay, so the report card breaks down the percentage of what's earned, what the school is earning based on what they're providing for the students, their math scores, their English scores, their science scores. So it gives you an idea of the performance that the school is doing. And it's like a report card. It's like a report card you get for your student. You see where your student is, you can gauge from there. And so you want to make sure that you are familiar with the Maryland State report card. Okay, I'm trying to make sure I give you all the data here. So I don't want to miss anything. Let me look for my slide 1. Okay, I am on slide 3. All right, so here we go. So why does the Maryland report card matter? Okay. High school, it starts now with every different course. So you had to make sure that you all understand that. So the high school report card is a state official tool for showing how every public school is performing. It provides a snapshot of school quality, academic achievement, and areas needing improvement. Why should you care about the Maryland State report card? Because one, it shows overall school performance. It lets you know how the school is doing. The report card gives a rating of maybe 1 to 5 stars, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest, at a percentage of total points earned. These numbers help parents quickly see how the school is doing statewide. It breaks down academic achievement. So here parents can see how students perform on state tests, for the English, the math, and the science. It gives data and helps families understand whether students are meeting grade level expectations. It also shows you how well students are mastering the content. It also measures student growth. It's like a growth indicator, shows whether students are improving year over year, year after year, and their scores are improving. This is especially important for ninth graders, and this is what we're doing. We're transitioning from middle school to high school. And so it's important for ninth graders entering into high school to make sure that we understand what the Maryland report card is saying so that we can provide those students with the tools that they need to be successful. All right. It also includes school climate. What's happening in your school? Is there chronic are students always absent, or is it a well-rounded curriculum? What is the climate of your school? Okay, this is what the Maryland State report card is going to tell you. It's also going to help parents advocate for their child. Okay, so you want to be able to advocate for your child by providing them with the resources they need so they can be able to be productive and successful in high school. It also supports long-term planning. And what does that mean? When you understand the performance, it helps families make decisions about course selections. It also helps family pick extracurricular involvements, like what kind of clubs you want your students to be involved in. Also, academic supports, what kind of supports the school is providing, and it prepares them for college and career readiness, okay? It also builds transparency and trust. So that's always important. We want to be transparent, and it builds trust. When you see the report card, you will be able to know exactly how the school is doing and what to expect when your student transitions into high school. Okay. All right. So let's get into the type of things that you're going to look for as parents. So we have the parent and student platforms. You have your county website, right? So these tools will keep you informed, connected, prepared, and empowered to support your child's success. These tools are the backbone of communication. This is how you get your information. And when parents use these consistently, the students can thrive. So let's look at the county website. What does the county website provide you? This is your big picture resource. The county website gives you access to everything that affects your child across the entire district in which you reside. What would you find? You would find a lot of information. The district policies would be there and procedures would be there, including grading, attendance, and discipline. It would tell you things about how when you need discipline and how the school should be disciplining, or when your student may find themselves in a challenging situation, whether the consequence is based on policy and procedures. So it will also provide you with the school calendar. So you'll be informed about when holidays are happening, testing windows, dismissal days. So those are the kind of things that the county website will tell you. It would also alert you of weather closures, safety updates, and new initiatives. So you want to make sure that you are on the county website to get the information about programs and services such as transportation, special education, gifted programs, and meal services. So just a few of the things that the county website will show you. All right, let's talk about the school website. So this is your child's daily world. This is where you get what's happening in the schools. This school website is where you find information about what's affecting your student in the school, which is what is happening real time in school. So you would get the bell schedule. You would know when your students transition, what time, how long they're in each class period. You would get any school events, what's happening in the school, parent night, athletics with sports, what's happening when games are, performances, even when test days. You will find that on your school website. You will also find the staff directory. You can easily contact teachers through the staff directory. If you don't have the email address, go straight to your school's website and you will be able to find your teachers that you need to communicate and ask questions for your students. Counselors, you will always find there as well, and administration. Okay, so you will also be able to find on the school website dress code policies, attendance procedures, and you will be able to find about the cell phone rules and procedures. So the school website is also an excellent way to stay connected with what's happening in the schools. Sometimes our students, when they transition, they're not very good communicators. They do not give you full picture of what's happening. You can go to your school website and your county website to be informed, okay? It also tells you about clubs and activities, what's actually happening, okay? So now let's look at the student information system. This is very important. So when we look at the student information system, this is stuff real time happening right now. So what I do know is that the student information systems, Prince George, the state of Maryland has two counties that deal with synergy. So that would be Prince George's County and Montgomery County. There may be other platforms, so make sure that you are familiar with those platforms in your district. Platforms like SchoolMax, they may be using Canvas, they may be using School Links, Naviance. Those are some of the platforms that schools use to inform parents real time. You'll be able to check your child's attendance. You'll be able to check your child's grades. You will be able to see graduation requirements. All those things you will be able to see on those platforms. So familiarize yourself with what platform is in your school district or the one that your school is using, because it really does help you stay connected to what your student is doing. If your student is not reporting to school, to this class on time, it will show you that in real time. Whether your student made it to class on time, it will show you that in real time. It would also show you assignments that were given and whether your student turned the assignment in and what grade they received for that. And so it would, teachers also use notes and leave their notes in these platforms. So this is very, these platforms, these informative platforms are very good for staying connected with what your students are doing, okay? It also gives you behavior and progress. It lets you know what your student is doing. Basically, that's what the school information system does. It gives you real time access to what your student is doing. All right. So let's move to this one. So who's important in your school? Who should you know? You definitely need to know who the principal is, okay? You can also go on the school website and he should have a bio or she should have a bio. Get to know who your principal is, all right? Know who your school assistant principal is. Most likely, most schools are set up where they have assistant principals per grade level. So know who your assistant principal is. Know the child's school counselor. Become familiar with your school counselor. Your school counselor is the person who is the gap, who can be the gap between school and home. Okay, and so we're there to make sure we connect those dots for parents and school and community. So make sure you know who the school counselors are. All right, know who the instructional leaders are. Those people who are if you at your school district has something like ninth grade academy, know who's leading that academy. Okay, know who the department chairs are. So you want to get familiar with all those individuals that would be connected to your students' success that year. Okay, it changes from year to year, but make sure you know who those individuals are. You want to get to know the security team. You want to know who the person is when your child is absent from school. Who do you send that note to? Okay, you want to know who the testing coordinator is. You want to know the athletic director for those extracurricular activities, and all that information you can find on the school website. Okay, so who are we? You need to know who we are. Okay, so you have time. School, and I know the state of Maryland doesn't start until maybe the 25th. So you have a little bit of time to get connected and go on those school website, go on the county website, and check it out and see what information you can find out about your school. All right, so let's move into the meat of what is required. I'm gonna give you an overview of what's required as your student transitions from 8th grade to ninth grade. So in the state of Maryland, and I'm keeping in mind, I'm speaking for the state of Maryland because that's where I work. But you want to make sure that you check your district's requirements, okay? But for the state of Maryland, for example, we require 22 credits for a student to graduate. What does that consist of? That consists of core courses such as English, math, science, social studies, PE, health, fine art, technology, completer, which is your world language, and or a CTE program, which I will get into more. Also, service learning hours is a requirement. And the state assessments. You have your English, you have your math, you have your science, and you have your social studies, and they're called Maryland State Assessments, the MCAPs. Okay, most likely those MCAPs will be given in their 10th grade year. So we prepare them in there. I know that English is usually 10th grade. You will have English assessment for MCAP. Usually MCAP is algebra 1 for math. And for government, it would be Ellison Government for the MCAP. And for the science MCAP, it would be like biology, okay? And what we call sometimes the MISA. So be familiar with what the requirements are. And this is just a brief overview of what these requirements are, okay? And so what does this mean? Okay, it means it's a course placement. It determines the student's academic trajectory. Where are they going to be going? If you have a student who is interested in computers, you want to make sure you're picking those electives that kind of speaks to that interest. Okay, you don't there will be other electives that they will be able to go into, but you want to make sure that you do look at those electives that speaks to their interest. If you have a student who wants to be an art major, you need to have a heavy course load of art. They need to be taking art every year. Okay, so those are kind of things that you want to be looking at because these courses, what they do is they influence the level of coursework that the student is taking. Okay, so you want to make sure that you are putting your student in the courses that they need. These are the standard things that you will see your student need. Generally, in the state of Maryland, let's see if the next slide says that. Okay, now I'm gonna go back to 7. Generally, in the state of Maryland, you need 4 years, which is 4 credits. So it's together. So you have 4 years of English. English 9 is 1 credit. This is the state of Maryland we're talking about. English, you have English 10 is 1 credit. Then you have 11 is 1 credit, and 12. That's 4 years, 4 credits. Now, math. And this is a tricky one. It used to be in the state of Maryland that your student has to take 3 maths, but they must be enrolled in a math every year. It's changed. They must be enrolled in a math every year, but they must now pass 4 years of math. So that's important to know, that every year that they're in high school, they have to pass all 4 maths. Generally, there's 3 sciences. You have a life science, you have a physical science, and you have an earth and space science. And then social studies, of course, you have the U.S. history, you have Ellison government, and then you have world history. So make sure you understand what are the requirements are as it relates to your student. So let's go to the completer. So world language. Generally, world language, you need 2 years of world language. That doesn't mean that you can't go an additional year. So generally, they start maybe in the 9th grade. Let's pick a language, Spanish 1. All right. In their 10th grade year, they will go to Spanish 2. Now, keep in mind, you can't switch between the two, not in Prince George's County. You can't switch. So make sure you familiarize yourself with what the policies and procedures are as it relates to the world language in the district in which you belong. But here in Prince George's County, you cannot switch your languages. Once you start with one, you must finish with the same language, okay? And we'll get into the CTE program. So you can either take a world language or a CTE program to fulfill that completer requirement, okay? Service learning hours, 24 hours is needed. Also, on the county website, it will tell you exactly what counts as service learning hours, okay? You can get service learning hours within school by joining some of the clubs. You can also get service learning hours out in the community, okay? So make sure that you understand what qualifies for service learning hours. Generally, 8th graders should come into the county with at least 8 credits already. Okay, so keep it in mind. If not, it's okay. By the end of their senior year, we don't want to make sure that they have all 24 credits. As a counselor, I would prefer that they have those 24 credits before they hit their senior year. That's not something that you want to be concerned with and worry about when your student is trying to prepare for college. You want to make sure that those things like service learning hours are completed. Okay. All right. So we spoke a little bit about this, okay, about the expectation. But what would this schedule for a typical 9th grade grader look like? You're going to have English 9, and depending on what your student did in their 8th grade year, some students do take algebra, which is a class that can transfer over as a credit for 9th grade. So if they did do that and they earned the credit for algebra 1, they will be put in geometry. But most likely it's going to start with, I believe that I know the county changes the back and forth between algebra 1 and geometry. So they will be placed in one of these courses, one of these math courses. All right, so biology will be the first, which is a life science, and then U.S. history. We most likely try to get our students to take personal fitness and a health class, and then some electives, okay? And then if they decide they're going to do a CTE program, we start with those CTE electives to get them ready for the program. They do need fine art. Fine art can be a gamut of subjects. You can have music survey, band, dance, all those things kind of fall under fine art, okay? And world language. And what's important to know is how much the course credits, how much each course is worth. For example, so we do know that English 9 is worth 1 credit, but that is subject to change depending on the district that you're in. All right. But however, PE is only a 0.5 credit. And all you need for Prince George's County, as it requires for PE, is a 0.5. And that 0.5 credit has to come from personal fitness. It cannot come from team sports, lifetime sports. It has to be personal fitness. Health is a 0.5 credit, which they take Health 1 and Health 2. So you need both, which equals up to 1 credit. Okay. So I know this is a lot of information, so that's why it's important that you do get familiar with what credits and courses your ninth grader will be in and how much they're worth. Because at the end of their 4 years, they have to have 22 credits. And those 22 credits make up of core courses such as English, math, science, and history, their physical education, their health courses, their world language and or CTE program, and electives. It's important that your students do electives because it helps get the 22 credits. And it also helps, which is an important fact to know, that it also helps boost GPA. Okay, the child's GPA. So it's important that you do know that taking electives, oftentimes I may hear, I already received my fine art credit. That's great. If I put you in Art 1, you have your Art 1 credit, but you decide, okay, I'm going to put you in Art 2, and you come back to me and you say, well, I already have my fine art credit. Use that fine art credit that Art 2 credit to boost your GPA. Help your GPA rise up, okay? Because GPA in high school does matter, all right? It's like it changes over to money when you talk about college and career readiness, okay? All right. Okay, so how is your child promoted? And again, I just want to make sure we understand this is based on where I work, which is in Prince George's County, but this will give you an idea of how your students are promoted. So to move from 9th grade to 10th grade, a student must have 5 credits. So if we talk about 5 credits, we got the English, we got the math, we got the science, we have the social studies. So that's 4 already, okay? But then you most likely will have some other courses, maybe 10 credits might be on this child's schedule, depending on where you are. Out of those 10 credits, or those 10 courses, your child must meet 5 credits. And one of those credits must be an English and a math. So they may get 5 credits, but if they don't pass the English and a math, they will not be promoted from 9 to 10. They will be considered what we call a repeater. And it will be a 9th grade repeater, okay? So you want to make sure that you understand what the promotion requirements are. Now, are there opportunities for your student to make up those credits if they don't get the English and math? Yes. You have things like summer school. And then we also have what we call credit recovery. You will be able to regain those credits if you do not gain them in your 9th grade year to be promoted to your 10th grade year before the next year starts so that you can be in the correct grade. What you'll see how you will know if your child has been promoted, you will either get a phone call from your school counselor, or you can actually see on the student information system whether your student was promoted from 9 to 10. That's important information to know. So it's the same thing going to 10 to 11. You're going to probably be in a 10 credit course. You need to have now 2 Englishes. That would be your 9 and your 10. There would be 2 maths. That would be either Algebra 1, Geometry, and then you need 1 science, pass 1 science class, and you need to pass your social studies. So say, for instance, you don't pass the science in 9th grade, but you take it in summer school, or you take it in your 10th grade year, you can be promoted to the 11th grade. All right, so on and so on. So it is a lot of information to know, but it's important that our students and our parents understand, how are we being promoted. So remember, you have courses and credits, not just courses. Those courses equal credits. You need to understand what those credits are, how much those courses are worth. You have to also know what you need to be promoted from level to a grade level, from one grade to the next level. Okay, it's totally different when you move into high school. All right, attendance. Oh my goodness, attendance matters. This is a big one. Oftentimes we leave. We say that we are sick, and we do get sick. I get it. We all have those days where we're just not feeling well. Oh, we need a mental day, right? I get that, but we want to make sure we understand that when students miss school, they're missing instruction. Okay, it's a little difficult to regain the instruction that you missed on the day that you're absent. So if it's something that you can avoid, try to avoid being out of school too many days. Okay, so students must attend at least 90% or more of the school day in order for them to be successful. It is very important that because every day instruction is going on, every day. When you're missing classes, you can create the learning gap. When they're not there, there becomes a learning gap. They miss something. It becomes harder for them to overcome uh, or understand the core subject. So we want to make sure our students are there. You want to make sure that if they're absent, that they make up the work. You want to also understand your attendance policy. Okay, what requires as a excuse absent and what is an unexcused absent. So you want to make sure that you understand what those things are, because if it is an unexcused absent, the school is not required, the teacher is not required to give your student a makeup work. But if it's excused, then they are. And it's within the time frame that they were absent. For example, if your student was absent for 2 days and it's an excused absent, they then have to go to the teacher with the note of absence and verbally ask the teacher for the assignments, and they have those 2 days they were out to make that work up. So make sure that you are familiar with what the attendance policy is. Okay, it's important that we build good habits and try to be to school every day on time. On time is not walking into class when the bell rings. So we want to make sure that you're on time in your seat, ready for instruction every day. Okay. Being in school creates opportunities, right? Things might be happening throughout the day where your student may have an opportunity to participate in something that generally does not happen that day. So you want to make sure that they're there. Okay. It is very, very important. That the student is on time in school. It's every day. So it says right here, I'm not sure if you all can see it because it's kind of small on my screen. It says 2 days. When a student misses 2 days a month, they will miss 20 days a year. So I just want you all to understand that it's very, very important as we transition from middle school to high school, that your student is there every day on time and ready for instruction. What does ready for instruction mean? Come and prepare with the tools that you need to learn, whether that's your Chromebook or your computer, whether that's pencil, pen, paper, whatever is required in that particular subject. Your teachers will let you know. You need to make sure that you're there on time. Okay. All right. All right, so let's get into the CTE programs. This is the good stuff. This is the overview of our specialty programs. And so it's important that we are familiar with the specialty programs. Generally, students are identified in 8th grade for what we call here in Prince George's County, talent ready. Okay, they will be identified. So not every student gets to be into the talent ready program. Those are the college-based courses. The students will be taking those courses at the college, the local college. But the other programs that students can get in will be programs like, well, let me first explain to you what a specialty program does. It provides the student with unique learning opportunities that allow them to explore their interests, develop specialized skills, and prepare for college and career pathways. These programs offer focused instruction and enrichment experience beyond the transitional classroom setting. Okay. So most specialty programs are application-based. Please understand, your student has to fill out an application for most of these specialty programs. It's not that you can just come in and say, I want to be a part of the specialty program. It is application-based, okay? And it depends on what program and the program sequence you will submit their application. Let me give you an example. So if you're trying to enter into a program that would start in your student's 10th grade year, you need to be applying for that program the 9th grade year. Because once you get accepted into that program, your student will start their 10th grade year and they will continue their 11th grade year and they would continue their 12th grade year. Now, sometimes parents would say, well, can my child be in 2 or more programs? Yes and no. The difficulty comes when you're trying to schedule. To see, we said that the programs have sequence. So if you're in one program and the sequence clashes with the other program, you're going to have to decide which one is the one that you want to be in. So when you're looking at specialty programs, you want to go to your district county website and you want to look up those specialty programs and give you some synopsis on what those programs are all about, what you will gain at the end, and decide if you want your student to be in a specialty program. Okay. Now, how do they become eligible for those specialty programs? Like I said, it's grade level based. So if you know that the program is a 3-year program, you want your student to start in their 9th grade year with the application process. If you know that it's a 2-year program, you want your student to start in the 10th grade with the application process. Okay. You don't want to wait to their 11th grade year and say, oh, I think I want to be in this program, but this program already started. You have to make sure that you're on time and that you understand when the application opens. Generally, applications open for specialty programs in October, the year before you're supposed to go into the program. Okay. And it usually closes around sometime December. It may vary depending on your school district when the specialty programs open and closes. Okay. All right. So I do encourage that your student is look at the specialty programs, very good programs for them to be in. Every school district has different specialty programs. And so you want to make sure that you understand what they are. And some specialty programs don't have always involve college courses. You have what we call advanced placement, AP. Those are specialty programs, okay? Your international baccalaureate, those are specialty programs, okay? Anything that is advanced coursework can be considered specialty program. All right, so you have those CTE programs like the health and science or the engineering or aviation or other career. You have ProStart, food, hospitality. make sure you check out the CTE programs in your county to see which ones. You have cosmetology, you have all those different, you have some school districts have automotive. So you want to make sure you understand what is required, when your students should be applying for those programs, and at what grade level. And also, GPA matters. Okay. What they're doing in their 8th grade year, if they decide they want to go into a program in their 9th grade year, is important. It's important what they're doing in the 9th grade year. If they want to go to a program in their 10th grade year, it's very important. They look at the overall student. Okay. So you have performing arts programs, and we also have world language programs. We have the immersion programs. We have the Spanish immersion programs in Prince George's County. Check with your district to see what programs are offered, district and or schools, to see what programs the school is offering in your different district, because not every school offers the same programs. So you want to make sure you understand the school that your student is zoned to go to, what programs are offered at that school. You also can look at programs that the county is offering, because there will be an opportunity for your students that get into a program that is not at your base school. They will still be able to go to those programs. But in general, most likely, the acceptance does not mean that transportation will be provided. So make sure you understand every single thing as it relates to the specialty programs. Okay. All right. So another program is a dual enrollment. I'm sure everybody's pretty much heard about the dual enrollment program. This is the program that allows high school students to earn both high school credits and college credits at the same time by taking approved college level courses. So those courses have to be approved. So we have what we call coaches that come from the various colleges, and they help the student decide what courses they can take. Generally, to get into those programs, you need to have a GPA of a 2.5 and or a high score on the placement tests that particular program offers. Like if they might be looking at your SAT scores, or they might be looking at the ACLA placer, so that they can decide if your student is eligible for this dual enrollment program. Typically, the dual enrollment programs start in the child's 11th grade year. Okay. There are some instances where your child might be able to do 10th grade, most likely in the summer. But there are instances where they can start in their 10th grade year. But in general, dual enrollment usually starts at the 11th grade level. Okay. And like I said, the GPA requirement in general is between 2.5 and a 3.0. Okay. So we went over a lot of things. I just want to do a small key point brief overview before we move on to the next subjects. Okay. I want to make sure I'm keeping up with my time here. So let's do a brief overview. All right. So takeaways. When we talk about attendance, we want to make sure that our students are showing up every day. Is one of the most powerful ways students can invest in their future, to be there every day. Attendance is not just about being present. That's important. It's not just about being at school. It is about staying connected and engaged, and on the path to success. That's your goal. You want to make sure that you're being successful. So being at school on time, the attendance is an important thing. All right. And so if there's any support services, you need to make sure that you're aware of that. I'm going to go over those in a few minutes. Specialty programs. You want to make sure this is a great opportunity for your scholar to discover their passion. It challenges them. It builds a pathway towards the future goals. And so we do encourage you to explore those programs early so that you can understand what is required for your scholar to get into those programs. Okay. And we talked about dual enrollment. Remember that dual enrollment, you can earn both high school and college credits. Okay, it gives you that experience, at college level experience. Okay, and so a great opportunity for our students. All right. So our next slide. Okay, so what we want, is important for you to know that we need to look at when our students transfer from 8th and 9th. This is very important to make sure we're doing those check-ins, those mental health check-ins with our students, because transitioning from 8th to 9th grade is exciting, but it also brings new challenges and emotions for students as they enter into the 9th grade. It often means adjusting to a larger school environment. The academic program increases. The expectations are higher. You got new social experiences. It's independence. This is when they started to explore some autonomy. They get to make some decisions on their own, and so sometimes those things can be very stressful. And so we want to make sure we're doing those check-ins and some things to look for. If your student is experiencing some anxiety around picking courses, you see that they're becoming a little bit more closed off, depressed, or withdrawn. You just want to make sure that you're watching and doing those check-ins, because although the transition is exciting, we're going to move to a part where we're getting ready to get ready for college and career. The transition sometimes can be a little difficult. And so we want to make sure that you are understanding that we need to do those daily check-ins with our students, okay? And making sure that we're building healthy habits and that we're maintaining open communication, and that we're asking them questions and we're doing those. How was your day today? And if you had to rate your day on a scale of 1 to 5, what would you rate it as? And why did you, can you explain to me why you gave it the rating that you gave? So you can make sure you're checking in with your student, okay? And when you're checking with your student, what you want to also make sure is that you understand what the support services are at the school. There's a lot of support services that your student can get from the school. One most important one is the counseling services. In general, your professional school counselor does provide 101 counseling, but please understand, professional school counselors are not therapeutic counselors. Okay, we do address the students' social emotional needs, but we're not therapeutic counselors. But we also can provide you resources that to a therapeutic counselor or a psychologist or whoever it is that you desire for the resource for your student. We have what we call Hazel Health. And there are counselors there that will be able to support your student. Most schools do have small group counseling. They talk about time management. We talk about different things like study habits. Some of those things are support services in small groups. You want to make sure your scholar is seeking out those supports. You have crisis response. We have in the building, we have our nurses, we have our admin, we have all those individuals that will be able to respond if your student is in a crisis, okay? The referral process, you ask your counselor or your school administrator. That's why it's important for you to know who's in the school and what jobs do they do, because then those individuals can do referrals, okay? What are the procedures around bullying and reporting with that bullying, okay? I'm praying that your scholar doesn't have to deal with that. But the reality is we just want to make sure that we prepare and that we understand what those procedures are, okay? And what mental health services or resources that are offered, okay? And stress management, very, very important that we seek out those support services when we're doing those check-ins with our students and we see that they need that extra support, okay? It's very, very important. Although once again, that it's exciting to transition, it can become a little stressful for some students, okay? All right, so now I want to do some practical. I want to give you some practical information. So we talked about all these things like credits, courses. We talked about knowing the Maryland School Report Card, all those things we talked about. So what I want to tell you about is an exercise that maybe you can do with your family at home. And so this would be something like a family support plan. Once you have done all your research, you would take a whole sheet of paper, maybe fold it in half, and then you would say right at the top of the page what your child needs. My child needs this. Okay. You understand your child best. Before they come to ninth grade, you understand. Before they transition into the high school, you understand your child best. So you do this little need assessment. These are the type of things my child needs. And then you create the plan for getting your child those services. The plan might be contacting the school to see what type of resources that are available for your student. Okay. If you know your student struggles in math, or you contact the school and say, are there any tutoring opportunities for your students? So you want to do those plans. So this is a very good practical exercise for families to do for family success. Okay. So this is just something you don't have to do it, but I wanted to provide you with some practical exercise that you can do with your scholar at home, so that you all will have a plan in place as they transition from 8th grade to 9th grade. Okay. Here's another practical exercise you can do. You can build a high school success center. Okay. In this high school success center, you'll have credits. What credit you will have what we call the 6150, what tells you what the requirements are for graduation. You'll have that there. You also can create a credit checklist. When your student gains a credit, you can check it off. So you decide what you need to have in your high school success center to make sure that you can go back to those resources. They'll be right at your hand, and you don't have to research and go to the computer and find things. It'll be right there in your school success center. So you want to make sure that you have those things in place. So this is just some practical things that you all can do to support your scholar as they transition from ninth grade, from 8th grade to 9th grade. Okay. All right. So we're coming to a close. I am prayerful that the information that you received tonight is helpful, is informative. Okay. So I thank you for participating, and we are asking that you complete the survey. The survey will take you a few moments to complete the survey and share your feedback. We want to know how we did, and if there's anything else that we need to do to support families. We want to make sure that we're doing those things. Okay. Now, in closing, I want to make sure that you understand high school is a fresh start. It is a new start. With strong support at home and school, students can build confidence. They can build independence and a clear path towards graduation. But to make sure that we're understanding, I encourage you to go back and review the video, take more notes, go to your school website, do those things that it's going to help your scholar be successful, and do those things that's going to help you be informed. Okay. So in closing, we want to thank you again for your participation, taking time to invest in your students' transition from middle school to high school. Your presence, support, and commitment makes a significant difference in your child's confidence, their academic success, and their overall well-being. So we encourage you to revisit, like I said, revisit the transition video and the resources shared today as a reminder that the journey into high school is a partnership between students, families, school, and school community. High school will bring new opportunities, challenges, friendships, and experiences. Okay. With encouragement, communication, and support, your student can enter the next chapter prepared, confident and ready to succeed. As your child begins this new journey, we speak a blessing over every student. May they walk into high school with courage, wisdom, confidence, and willingness to grow. May they discover their strengths, build positive relationships, and embrace the opportunity ahead. I would like to present a closing over the families tonight. And so we can take a moment. We thank you, Heavenly Father. We thank you for the gift of our students and our families who support and guide them. As they transition from middle school into high school, Father, we ask that you surround them with wisdom, with confidence, and with peace. Help them to make positive choices, overcome challenges, and recognize the gifts and talents that they possess within them. So, Father, we thank you, we love you, and we say that we trust that you will guide each student on their journey and help them become all that they are created to be. Thank you again, and good night.
Thank you for joining us tonight. We hope you enjoyed this session of Ready at Home Parent Summer Institute. Before you leave, please take a moment to complete our survey. Your feedback is greatly appreciated and will help make this series even better. The survey will remain open until August 14th. Thank you, and we'll see you at our next session.